I was always a Nintendo kid. I have to admit I did take a short hiatus from Nintendo in the late 90s and followed the Final Fantasy series to the PlayStation. Cool Borders and GTA, among others, were also available only for the PlayStation, so I guess you could say I made the best of my defection. Long before that, however, my parents got me a Nintendo Entertainment System in the mid-80s, and I was hooked. I was a dedicated fan from the posters on the wall all the way down to a Nintendo Power magazine subscription. Nerd! I even remember when Nintendo Power was bi-monthly, and reading it had to be rationed out in tiny little increments to last the entire 2 months, till you got the next issue. Near the end of 1990, there was a mention in Nintendo Power of the Super Famicom, which was the Japanese release of what would become the Super Nintendo. My first impression was it didn't look super fun, and I kind of want to just keep going with my NES. I guess I've always feared change. Through a series of unfortunate events, however, my Nintendo was rendered useless, and the option to upgrade was on the table. August 1991 was the release date of the SNES in North America. It wasn't too long after that I got to try it out, and I was introduced to one of the launch titles called Pilotwings. Pilotwings is a flight simulator developed and published by Nintendo with Shigeru Miyamoto as the developer. Miyamoto has created some of the best-selling games of all time, like Mario and The Legend of Zelda, and is a legend himself. At one point, he acted as president of Nintendo, and he still plays a role in the company today. The music score was written by Soyo Oka. This was her first big assignment and led to her writing scores for Super Mario Kart, SimCity, and a bunch more fun games. She eventually left Nintendo to pursue an independent music career. I wasn't able to find other music by her or if she's still performing today, but I would totally go check that show out if she was, and came to Winnipeg. The origin story of Pilotwings goes back to a game called Dragonfly. Dragonfly was a demo game shown during the official first look of the Famicom to the Japanese press on November 21st, 1988. It demonstrates the Mode 7 graphics system, which allows rotation, scaling, and other effects to be used on flat images to create a 3D effect. I couldn't find the game itself and was only able to find some shots in a magazine that mentioned it. If anyone knows how to get a copy of Dragonfly, please let me know. Pilotwings has 10 stages to master. Well, sorta. It actually has 8 stages with 2 helicopter levels. Well, actually, it's 4 stages, and stages 5 to 8 are kind of recycled versions of 1 to 4. The layout is the same, but the stage is now at night or in the winter with harder challenges and more wind to blow you off course. Same with the helicopter level. The second time around, it's basically the same level, but with a few more guns shooting at you, and you gotta fly in the dark. There are also 3 bonus levels to be found by landing on moving platforms or in other target areas. The bonus levels can help you get some bonus points. Finally, the game features 4 instructors and their winning personalities, attempting to teach you to fly, jump, glide, or rocket to earn your pilot license. The title screen spins into focus, and you have the option to start or continue. The continue option is a password system to skip ahead to whatever level you left off at. The passwords are easy to find online, which is great. It means you don't have to actually get good at anything, and you can still try all the levels. After selecting start, the game gives you a little spiel about joining the Flight Club, and off you are to Lesson 1. Your instructor, Tony, says you'll be covering a few basics on landing and skydiving, but never actually tells you how to do anything. He basically shows you the buttons and tosses you into a cockpit or out of a plane or something, hoping you'll figure it out on the way to the ground. The first lesson has 2 objectives, light plane and skydiving. You need a total of 120 points to advance to the next lesson, and you earn those points depending on how good of a job you did at flying, falling, and especially landing. Once you select the objective you want to try, the instructor gives you instructions and offers to show you the controls and scoring. The scoring and controls are pretty easy but different for each objective, so be sure to check them out. A quick landing and dive through the sky, and we are off to Lesson 2. Shirley is your Lesson 2 instructor, and she tells you a bit about the rocket belt. In this lesson, you need to score a total of 220 points to advance, but there are 3 objectives, so you got some wiggle room if you bone one of the objectives. The rocket belt was a personal fave of mine. The L&R buttons toggle the view to help get that picture-perfect landing, and the belt has 2 different jets, which as far as I can tell, basically just do the same thing. Fly through more rings and a few solid landings, and we are off to Lesson 3. Lance is your Lesson 3 instructor and clearly has a stick up his butt or something. Perhaps being an instructor in a flight simulator video game wasn't his first choice in career. This lesson introduces the hang glider, which I found kind of hard to control at first, but eventually got the hang of it. 220 points later or more, you meet Big Al, your Lesson 4 instructor. This time around, you gotta earn 300 points. However, you get to play all 4 objectives this time. So again, you got some wiggle room if you end up in the drink or die in a plane crash. If you make it to 300 points or more, Big Al reveals that the other instructors were kidnapped, and you need to fly in a chopper to rescue them. The helicopter level is probably the most fun level in the game, and you gotta shoot ground cannons and dodge anti-aircraft missiles until you make it to the extraction point and rescue the other instructors. At this point, you've pretty much beat the game. There are another 4 levels and another helicopter level, which, like I said before, are basically the levels you already played, recycled with slightly harder tasks and such. If you are hardcore or a super nerd like myself, please continue. Otherwise, just sit and enjoy the evening version of the title screen. When you first look at Pilotwings stacked up to games made years later, it seems pretty lame. But consider it was a launch title and was one of the first games developed for the SNES. If you give it a chance, it's actually pretty fun, and has a good balance of challenge to keep you encouraged, and a variety of game modes, and hidden secrets, increasing replay value. Sometimes it's just fun to do a giant nosedive into the ground, or pop the giant balloons in the rocket belt level. If this one passed you by, give it a chance. It's a game worth piloting.